All right, good morning, not good afternoon, but good morning, everybody, and welcome to this meeting of the Senate Committee on Education. I'm Senator Angie Taylor, and I have the honor of leading our meeting this morning. So we will start with roll call, Madam Secretary.
Senator Buck. Here. Senator Cruz Crawford. Here. Senator Donyati. Here. Senator Darrell Loop. Senator Rogich. Here. Senator Titus. Here. Chair Taylor.
And I am present. I'm here. Let's mark Vice Chair Darrell Loop present when she arrives. Okay, quick. We have two bills we're going to hear today. Assembly Bill 164, revising provisions relating to the account for student indemnification, and AB 501 authorizes certain pupils to receive academic credit for completing certain outdoor recreational activities. We will begin with just a little bit of housekeeping, the routine: turn off electronic devices, make sure you turn on the microphone when you speak and off when you are finished. Make sure you state your name for the record. We will have one public comment period at the end of the meeting. That number, if you'd like to call in for it, is 888-475-4499. The meeting ID is 854-933-79816. And then finally, you'll see committee members with our laptops and so on. It's not it's not a sign of disrespect or lack of attention, but we have exhibits and so on in front of us. So that being said, why don't we get started? I know our presenter has a very important 10 o'clock, so please come forward, Assembly Member O'Neill, and we will start when you are ready. Easy.
Thank you, Chair. Good morning still. Thank you. Chair Taylor and members of the committee, I'm Assemblyman P.K. O'Neill representing Assembly District 40. I am pleased today and honored actually to bring before you Assembly Bill 164, which revises provisions related to the account for student indemnification Former Assemblyman and Post-Secondary Education Commissioner Dr. Randy Kerner extends his regrets for not being here today, along with the Executive Director, Ms. Kelly Quest. Both of them have a wedding, and Dr. Kerner is receiving awards from his university that he graduated from while he's there for the 50th anniversary. I just had to throw that 50th anniversary in for him, please. But seriously, I want to give you a little background on this. The account for student indemnification was created in 1995 and is administered by the Commission on Post-Secondary Education. The Commission oversees post-secondary education institutions, including private, academic, business, professional, technical, and vocational schools. The Commission uses the account for student indemnification to compensate the students who may have been harmed as a result of a licensed institution closing for unexpected reasons, such as a bankruptcy. It is basically an insurance policy for the student that protects them from their tuition investment or for the tuition investment. Each student of an institution covered by the account pays a one-time fee of $5 at their initial enrollment in the institution. The institution then transmits these funds to the Commission each quarter for credit to the account. When the account balance reaches $250,000, which is what it's at today, the Commission notifies the institutions that they are not required to collect the fees until the balance falls below $250,000. Since 1995, tuition costs have increased dramatically. Due to these inflationary pressures, we are asking to raise the cap on the account for student indemnification from its current $250,000 to $750,000 so we can protect students' investments if the institutions they are attending unexpectedly closes its doors. So going through the bill very quickly. The bill raises the balance limit on the account for student indemnification from $250,000 to $750,000. The $250,000 cap has been in place since the account's creation in 1995. The increase to $750,000 will allow the Commission more flexibility in processing claims such as those related to the February 2024 closure of the Career College of Northern Nevada. And I have a PowerPoint that I'll go through very quickly, if I may. And it just goes through what I have said before. It was created in 1995, protects the students who have suffered harm from the closure of an institution. The statutes are quoted for you. It's a non-executive budget account that is not lapsed to the state treasury at the end of the fiscal year. The money stays in there. It's separate from the state budget. The $5 fee for a student enrollment at an institution, the fee's only paid once. And it's just, whoops, there we go. And at the closure, and the best example we had, as I said, was back in February of '24, when one of the colleges, the Career College of Northern Nevada, closed its doors unexpectedly. The students were actually left trying to figure out what they're going to do next. And I've got to tell you, the expenses to get a nursing degree now at some of these colleges is $90,000. And it was, fortunately, when the CCN closed, the commission was concerned that they would not have enough money in the account to cover the students. But several of them were on GI bills, and the federal government assisted them, those on GI and those on some of the federal grants, to recover their money. And they just barely had the finances left for those students that weren't in those protected classes. And with that, I stand ready for questions, and I will ask, as I said, both Dr. Kerner and Ms. West, the executive director, on here. So I will do the very best with this answering your questions. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Assemblymember O'Neill. And thank you for visiting our committee. Thank you for the presentation. We do have some questions, and I'll start just for a little clarity, and then we'll go to the committee for questions. So the $5 fee, is that paid for all students that enroll in, like, say, even INCHE institutions or anything like that, or is it those independent institutions?
PK O'Neill, for the record, no, it's only the post-secondary educations. INCHE, University of Reno, or University of Nevada, Reno, Las Vegas, the State University, the community colleges are all part of INCHE and are excluded from that. It is just these private, as I said, these various colleges that are post-secondary education, the technical schools, private schools that provide the training.
Thank you, Assemblymember. Vice Chair Dondier-Loop.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair, and thank you, Assemblymember. My question is how has this fee been paid currently? Is it added on to the student's fee?
PK O'Neill, for the record, it's my understanding that it's a one-time fee paid by the student when they enroll, and it's actually listed on, it's a separate itemized account in their, I guess, invoice or their billing, the $5 fee. And may I say, not every student may pay the $5 fee, because once the threshold is met, currently at the $250,000, then the $5 is not collected. It's only when it falls below. If we raise it to $750, the $5 fee will be collected again until we get to that $750,000.
So it will never change from $5. In other words, it won't become $10 because we're actually taxing kids. or students, not kids, but students that are over 18. We're actually putting a tax on them because we're asking them to pay a fee on top of what they're already paying a fee to get an education.
PK O'Neill for the record. Thank you, Senator. You're correct. It's in statute, the $5 is what they do pay. There is no, I have learned, and I think most of us will agree, never say never in this building. But it is paid, and it's just like purchasing to drive your vehicle. You have to have insurance. To mortgage your house, when you take a mortgage out, you have to have insurance. And this is basically an insurance fee that the student purchases for $5 that their $90,000 expense for that nursing degree will be protected, and they'll recover funds if the school that they've enrolled in closes its doors for some reason.
And I appreciate that because I remember there was a Trump University that closed, and we could have compensated those people, and we didn't. But my problem is insurance is a choice. You have lots of vendors or companies that you can choose from, and different price points. You can choose what you want on there depending on the kind of car you have, collision or what have you. This, even though it seems very minimal at $5, there's no guarantee it's not going to raise, and you're mandating that every student pays it. It's not like I can pay it if I want to. So like if the university goes bankrupt, like I have it, and maybe I don't want to pay it because I'm almost done and I don't need the insurance, and so I don't care whether I have it or not. So you're mandating that as a student, and I could be one of them, or you could be one of them, or it could be kids, are paying this amount of money, and there's no guarantee that it won't be raised.
PK O'Neill for the record. You're correct. And I really don't have an answer for you otherwise, unless we wish to do another bill that makes it voluntary. But then we should also look at NG and look at their student fees there and allow them to pick and choose what they would like if they don't want the student union services, et cetera.
Right. And while this isn't a finance committee, this is a finance question. So I'll stop there, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Madam Vice Chair. We have a question from Senator Titus.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you, sir, for at least recognizing the need, and I know your intent is it helps the students, but I have some clarification questions. The wording says that it's per quarter. I know that Nevada has a semester policy, and does that make any difference? How did it get written per quarter? Is it fiscal quarter, or is it, because we're not on the quarter system at Nevada, we're on a semester system.
PK O'Neill for the record. The institution pays it on the per quarter because students can come in at any time to start taking their classes.
Okay.
So they would pay it, the student pays at their initial enrollment a $5 fee.
Okay.
The institution can keep that and then pay it on their quarterly. And the executive director probably would have been the best person to answer that, but I would imagine their quarters are the same as January, February, March, then April, May, June.
And so every so every student would pay this regardless of whether they're a part-time student, just one, they're taking one class student. If they enroll, they pay this fee.
Correct. When it's under, PK O'Neill for the record again, when it's under, if the cap is not at its maximum, then those students enrolling for the first time would pay the $5.
Is there?
So
Okay.
just for clarification, so I'm already enrolled in XYZ college, technical college, taking mechanics. you've just come in, you would pay the $5. I don't, because I have already enrolled that first time.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Senator Titus. Other questions from the committee at this time? Okay, seeing none, thank you so much, Assembly Member. We'll ask you to step back. Oh, we do. Senator Danyante.
Thank you so much, Chair, and thank you so much, Assemblyman. I'm sorry, I apologize. I'm trying to get up to speed. So, just so the understanding of what I'm trying to get from this bill, you're changing the threshold as to what can be collected because of the number of claims that are being received into the account. Is that correct?
PK O'Neill, for the record, it's not necessarily the claims, it's what the claims can be or would be if a school closes down. That they've had in the past is in February of '24, they would have had trouble meeting that if the federal government did not, particularly the GI bills, did not come into play on it. And so with the inflation of the costs, as I said, a nursing degree now will run $90,000 at some of the schools for. And this includes, I'll use Turo as an example. They're part of post-secondary education. Turo doesn't only give nursing degrees, they also have medical degrees, which are even more expensive, as we all know. So we're just raising that cap to prepare or be available if the unfortunate should happen, so these students are protected.
Thank you. And just, Chair, just as a comment, I think as I'm digesting this information, I think one of the things that's probably relevant, it's maybe not directly to this issue, but I think perhaps we need to look into what's the approval process for why these institutions are being stood up, or these vocational colleges, and what is leading to them to fail, and essentially what are the requirements that we're asking of them to be able to maintain operations so that it's not a burden on the student, because we should never be having institutions closing down or misleading students into falsely believing that they can receive an education there and leaving students to be scrambling. So while I understand the intention of helping students receive that closure or receive that incentive or payment back because they were misled, I think we need to have some repercussions for the institutions that are choosing to close down and misleading these students. So maybe that's aside from this bill, but I just want that reflected on the record.
Thank you, Senator Danyante. We have just a couple things. One is, Assembly Member, I know this is already in statute, and really the attempt of the bill, correct me if I'm wrong, is to increase that threshold from $250,000 to $750,000, correct?
PK O'Neill, for the record, correct, Chair.
Okay, so then, so thank you. So my questions, and I want to protect the students. So I'm appreciative. I didn't even know we had this in statute, so I'm really appreciative of that, because we've had situations when schools have closed and left kids hanging. Has there ever been any thought, and I know this is already in statute, because it almost seems as though the institution should be paying for this insurance, right, if you will, for the students, because it's them that may fail. Any consideration for that? I mean, has it been a part of any of the conversations?
PK O'Neill, for the record, thank you, Chair, for the question. This bill was brought forward actually at the request. Dr. Kerner made me aware of it. The executive director asked me if I would present the bill and carry the bill forward. I can't answer that for you. Best I will say, this is not an everyday occurrence for a school that is accredited or licensed by post-secondary fails or has financial issues. So I can't directly answer that for you, but I do know it's not every day, but when it does occur at the prices of what it costs to run basically a higher education training facility, we want to protect the students and make sure they're there. So it may be for further discussion at a later date. Thank you, Chair.
I appreciate that, Assembly Member. Chair Dondiru, Vice Chair.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I have one more question. While I recognize this is already in statute, what happens to the money if they don't go defunct? So these students have paid for the insurance, right? So to speak. And I'm at Toro University, and it's a very great, greatly respected, highly accredited university, and it doesn't go under, but they've collected this $5 from all their students. So they just keep it more like an insurance company?
Thank PK O'Neill for the record. Senator Dondero Loop, the institution has to take that $5 and every quarter pay it to post-secondary to go into the account. So I'm not sure if I understand your question. The institution doesn't keep the money or have an account themselves.
Right, so that account is building because every student at a private university is paying it. So we did after the pandemic, we did have some institutions that have struggled, right? But in all good times, let's just pretend, and we don't have anybody that goes under, it's going to build. It's going to continue to build in that savings account, as we will, right? And so when is it that is there ever a cap? What happens to that funding?
PK O'Neill for the record. Now I understand. Yes, and that's actually what we're talking about right here in the statute as it is. Right now, that cap is set at $250. We're asking for it to be raised to $750 or $750,000. Once that cap is met, the students who are enrolling no longer pay the $5. So not every student's going to end up paying $5. If the cap is met, and which I guess maybe it's best to show today the cap is at $250 and the money is at $250 in the account. So if you enrolled today in Turo or some of the other schools, you would not pay the $5.
Correct. But so basically, I pay the $5 for 4 years. I never use it. And the senator next to me comes in behind me, and that person doesn't have to pay the $5. So I've essentially bought the insurance for the next person. Just a question for a friend.
PK O'Neill for the record. Senator Dondero Loop, you're a very magnanimous person, and I'll thank you for that.
If you
but
want to
no.
pay I'd be happy if you'd pay my car insurance and I drive the car. So,
But you pay it once, one time. So in your 3, 4, whatever year, however years time it takes, you've only paid that $5 once. But yes, you are right. If the cap is met and the account is at the quarter now or the 3 quarters, if it's passed, that student coming in would not pay it. So yes, you're right. One student may pay it one time. Another student may be fortunate in the cycle where it does not have that fee attached to their tuitions.
thank you very much.
Thank you, magnanimous Vice Chair. Senator Rogas, you're good? Okay, seeing no other questions from the committee now, Assembly Member, if you wouldn't mind. And I know that you have a 10 o'clock, so if you can't stick around for the end, if you have a closing comment you want to make now, you can certainly do that, because I want to be respectful of something that was already scheduled for you.
Well, PK O'Neill for the record, I appreciate that, but I'll stick around just in case there is any opposition to clear that up. So thank you.
Okay, thank you, Assembly Member. Then we'll invite you to sit back and invite anyone here in Carson City. I don't think there, or maybe here I see some jeans walking forward in Las Vegas. So please come forward, that anyone who would like to testify in support of Assembly Bill 164. Please go right ahead. You know the routine. State your name. You know the routine.
Yes, ma'am. Good morning, Chair Taylor, members of the committee. For the record, my name is Jimmy Lau with Ferrari Reader Public Affairs, representing the Nevada Association of Career Colleges. NACC is the trade organization for the proprietary schools that are licensed and regulated by the CPE. Proudly in support of this bill today, the initial cap for the student indemnification account was put in place. I I think prior to the year in which I was born, and it has not been raised over time. Obviously, we know that tuition has gone up in both the private post-secondary world and the public post-secondary world. I think both of them are at about 200% growth over the same period of time. To answer some of the questions that came up from the committee, the fee is actually leveraged directly against the institution. However, just based on the way that these things work, it's passed through to the students because it's levied at specific times. So when it's levied in each quarter and it's based on the number of enrolled students, it's a pass-through that occurs at that time. Once it reaches the threshold balance, then the fee collections stop against the institution, so the institution stops collecting it against the students. In addition to that, I think what we learned from the closure of CCN, but just by the way, these closures are very infrequent. They don't happen often. This account is not used often. But over the years, tuition increases were not in line with the amount that the indemnification account had increased by. And the claims that were levied against the indemnification account exceeded the balance. And even though collections had stopped several years prior because it did reach that $250,000 cap, there was some interest that accumulated in the account. So I believe the actual balance of the account was about $400,000 when the claims started to come in. But you have to meet certain criteria in this. And basically, I think raising the cap to $750,000 is a good thing for the students to protect them against bad actors.
I have to cut you off now, Mr.
Yes,
I
ma'am.
appreciate it.
Yeah, and I'm happy to answer any questions that the committee may have.
Okay, thank you. See, we don't see any questions for that. Thank you so much. Seeing no one else here in Carson City, we will go to Las Vegas. Welcome. Thanks for joining us. Please state your name and spell your last name for the record.
Of course. Hi, committee. My name is Anahit Baghshetsyan. For the record, that is ANAHITBAGHSHETSYN, and I'm a research assistant at Nevada Policy. Today, Nevada Policy comes in support of Assembly Bill 164. This legislation proposes a vital increase to the cap of student indemnification account, as we heard from the presenter and the testimony before me. This is an essential safeguard that ensures that Nevada students are protected, and in the event of institutional closures or disruptions that take place, oftentimes that are not necessarily directly because of the institution, this is a great rainy day account to have. The importance of it cannot be overstated because Nevada boasts far too many institutions that fall under this umbrella. Torrey University in itself serves around 19,000 students as of 2021. Roseman University serves around 600 students as of their most recent data, and these are only the two private institutions and not tens of other ones that serve specific career and technical educations. These programs play an integral role in preparing the workforce for the future and addressing critical shortages in fields such as healthcare, which we've seen very pronounced during this legislative session, for example. So this bill recognizes that the students investing in this path deserve the reassurance and the security in case of a closure of their institution, and also ensures that the robust pipeline to our workforce is safe and safeguarded. So for those reasons, we urge the committee to support this bill, and thank you so much for your time.
Thank you so much for being here. Anyone else in I don't see anyone else in Las Vegas. AVH, do we have a caller in support?
Thank you, Chair. The public line is open and working. However, there are no callers at this time.
Okay, thank you so much. We will now go to opposition, and AVH, since we're with you, we'll stay right there with you. Any callers in opposition, then we'll go to Las Vegas and Carson City.
The public line is open and working. We have no callers at this time, Chair.
Okay, thank you so much. I don't see anyone coming forward in either location. So now we will go to neutral. Any neutral testimony here in person in Carson? Seeing none in Las Vegas. AVH, did a caller sneak in?
No, ma'am. No callers snuck in at this time.
Okay, thank you so much. Okay, so we have all the testimony. Would you like to have any closing comments, Assembly Member?
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you for being here. Okay, that will close the hearing for Assembly Bill 164. And now, okay, there we are. And now we will go open the hearing for Assembly Bill 501. And before us is the Majority Floor Leader, Haligi, in front of us, as well as the Speaker. Speaker Yeager. Thanks to both of you for being here. It's an honor to have you. We almost didn't hear the bill, but you know, it was just.
Gave us something to do.
Yeah, exactly. We were sitting around with nothing to do, and so. All right, please go ahead, begin when you are ready. Again, thanks for being here.
Well, a very good morning to you, Chair Taylor, Vice Chair Dondero Loop, and members of the Senate Committee on Education. My name is Steve Yeager. I represent Assembly District 9, which is down in southwest Las Vegas. And I'm honored to be here this morning to co-present Assembly Bill 501 with my colleague, Assembly Majority Floor Leader Howdegi. I believe this bill is an important step towards integrating outdoor education into Nevada's public school system by authorizing, not requiring, authorizing credit for certain outdoor recreational activities completed outside of school hours. Outdoor education has long been recognized as a powerful tool for fostering critical life skills such as communication, resiliency, curiosity, civic engagement, and problem solving. These skills align seamlessly with Nevada's Department of Education's Portrait of a Nevada Learner framework, which emphasizes holistic student development. Assembly Bill 501 builds on Nevada's strong commitment to outdoor learning following prior legislation like Assembly Bill 385 in 2017, which provided free state park passes to fifth graders, and the Outdoor Education and Recreation Grant Program established by Assembly Bill 331 in 2019, which I tried to affectionately call the No Child Left Inside Grant Program, but then it got turned into the Outdoor Recreation and Education Grant Program. And then just last session in 2023, we appropriated $500,000 over the biennium to that grant program. We established the program in 2019, but as you all know, 2020 was a pretty terrible year budget-wise, so we weren't able to put any money into the program, but in 2023 we were able to fund it to the tune of $500,000, and that grant program has already demonstrated success, supporting projects ranging from gardening to mountain biking, and benefits students in all 17 of Nevada's counties. Assembly Bill 501 in front of you this morning takes these efforts further by integrating that outdoor experience into formal education through academic credit. Assembly Bill 501 is also part of a broader effort to ensure that all Nevada students benefit from outdoor education. It complements ongoing initiatives like this session's Assembly Bill 108, which again proposes to expand funding to that No Child Left Inside grant program. And it also aligns with recommendations from the Outdoor Education Advisory Working Group from the last biennium to integrate outdoor learning to pre-K through 12 education. And at this time, Chair, with your permission, I'd like to turn it over to my colleague, Floor Majority Leader Howdegi, who will provide a detailed breakdown of what the bill does as well as some supportive testimony.
Good morning, Chair Taylor, Vice Chair Dondero Loop, and members of the Senate Committee on Education. I'm Sandra Howdegi, and I proudly represent Assembly District 41. With the background and context provided by Speaker Yeager, I will walk the committee through the bill. Section 1, subsection 1, authorizes the Board of Trustees of a school district and the governing body of a charter school to allow junior high, middle school, and high school students to receive academic credit for completing approved outdoor recreational activities outside of school hours. Any credits earned must count towards elective course requirements. Subsection 2 authorizes these entities to approve such academic credit and establish criteria for approved outdoor activities. These activities must be completed outside of school hours, require a significant amount of time spent outdoors, and teach relevant skills such as identifying native plants and animals, trail building, habitat restoration, outdoor survival skills, hiking, archery, or bird watching. Subsection 3 requires the entities approving these activities to determine the maximum number of credits a student can earn through these activities, set rules for how students may apply for credit after completing an approved activity, and establish procedures for obtaining parental or legal guardian consent before student participation. Subsection 4 clarifies that a board of trustees of a school district and the governing body of a charter school are not required to provide, facilitate, or fund any outdoor recreational activities. Assembly Bill 501 addresses a growing need to integrate experimental learning into formal education. Outdoor education has proven to show student engagement and academic outcomes while promoting physical health and mental well-being. This is especially important at a time when Nevada's officials have been concerned with the state's chronic absenteeism numbers. Outdoor education has proven to work in other states. For example, in Oregon's outdoor school program, teachers reported significant improvements in student engagement and academic support after participating in outdoor learning experiences. This bill also supports equity by providing students from all backgrounds with opportunities to engage in meaningful outdoor experiences. By allowing academic credit for activities such as trail building or habitat restoration, Assembly Bill 501 encourages students to develop practical skills while connecting with Nevada's diverse landscapes. Chair, I submitted some exhibits pretty late. I submitted them this morning, but they're just some of the projects that have been funded by the Nevada Outdoor Education Recreation Grant Program. And I've always envisioned these two programs working together. And so I do, if you'll allow me, I do want to go over some of the grants that were awarded and how they benefited students throughout Nevada. And what we would like is to see these students who are taking advantage of the Nevada Outdoor Education Recreation Grant Programs to also get credit for them while at school. And to go over, and I emailed them this morning, so they might not be in, but
No, I appreciate that, Majority Leader, and we'll just make sure, our staff will make sure that we get them.
okay, perfect, thank you.
Are they on Nellis? Oh, well, Louise is so good. She's so good.
Thank you.
All right, so we already have them, but please go right ahead.
So the Nevada Outdoor Education and Recreation Grant Program received $1.4 million in requests in 2024. I mean, as you know, we only funded it for $500,000 for the biennium, so there was only $250,000 in grants available. But they were able to fund 23 unique projects. 9 Tier 2 projects and 14 micro projects. They reached 10,944 young Nevadans in 2024 and allowed students to spend 25,855 hours outside, and it supported 57 jobs. And some of the projects that received money, I'll start with the Great Basin National Park Foundation. It served students on every county, and it took students out to learn in and about the Grand Basin National Park. A project, the Nevada Outdoor School, it provided outdoor education programs for rural students in Pershing, Humboldt, Lander, Elko, Eureka, and White Pine County. The Tahoe Rim Trail Association took students backpacking, and it supported students in Washoe County, Carson County, and Douglas County. We also had the Sierra Nevada Journeys Project, which supported girls in STEM at a camp event for Title I students, and that supported students statewide. And so these are just some of the projects funded with the grant program that we envision more students wanting to participate in, knowing that they would also get school credit for it. And with that, Chair, we are open for questions. I will actually turn it over to my co-presenter first.
Thank you so much. Steve Yeager for the record. If I could just make some concluding remarks. You heard the power of the grant program, and I just couldn't be happier that this program really did work as envisioned and helped students in every county of the state. And, those of you that know me, you know that I love the outdoors. After we passed the state parks program back in 2017, I realized that I had not been to many of our state parks, and so I made it a mission to go to every one of our state parks between the 2017 and 2019 legislative session. It took a long time to do that because you have to kind of do them in little buckets depending on where they are in the state, but it was a wonderful experience and reminded me of just how great our state is, from Valley of Fire in southern Nevada up to obviously Sand Harbor and everything in between. And I just think about when we're here in this building, and I think you can all relate, we're stuck in this building really long hours sometimes, and so I try to get up early and get outside. It's hard because we're sleep deprived, but I know what it does for me in terms of my mental clarity and helping me get ready for the day. And I think most of us grew up in a time where we didn't have devices, we didn't have cell phones. I mean, you spend a lot of time outside. Unfortunately, that's not the case for students today, and it's not the case for a lot of reasons, one of which is just the tremendous pressure that are on educators and students on standardized tests and all of that. So part of the impetus here is to try to incentivize students to get outside, because I think we know when they do that, when they're able to communicate with each other and interact outside of the classroom. It helps them socialize, it helps get them off of their devices. We were very mindful not to make this a requirement or not to put an extra burden on our education professionals who are already overworked. So this is not going to supplant anything that is happening in the classroom. It is elective, it is optional, but I think, the more we can get students outside to sort of connect with nature and realize that there's more going on in life than just social media and what's on your devices, I think we're all going to be better off as a society for that. So I would just ask the committee to strongly consider Assembly Bill 501 as an elective program that a board of trustees or the charter school board could enter into. And with that, Madam Chair, committee members, we are thankful for your time in hearing this bill so quickly, and we are open to any questions.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker and Madam Majority Leader. We do have several questions, I'll jump in as well, but I want to begin with, when you started talking about a time when we didn't have devices, we lost Senator Danyante, so you might want to close that loop in there. Okay, we will start with Senator, I had to. All right, we'll start with Senator Titus.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you to both of you for being here today. And I know, Speaker, it's been a passion of yours since 2017. And at the time, in 2017, I was just opposed to it, thinking that, my goodness, I walk out my door and I have outside recreation. Why are we creating yet another government agency, et cetera? But frankly, I think it is a good program. I think I live in a beautiful world just 10 miles away from the East Walker State Park, and I walk out my back door and I have behind me miles, hundreds of miles of mountains. And so, but that, not everybody has that. So I appreciate you bringing it forward. I just need some clarification on the policy and where this fits. I appreciate that you want to enable the schools to give credits if students participate in these programs, and will it be up to the school districts then or individual schools? Who's going to? So it's the school boards to get the credit and apparently it's an elective, so it doesn't necessarily have to be certified credit. In other words, for me as a provider, I have to take continuing medical education credit, but I can also get credit for electives. Is that what you're anticipating versus certified programs?
Steve Yeager for the record. Chair, could I go direct to the member?
No, absolutely.
Also to you and through you and by you and
Over you.
Thank you, Senator Titus. And I do remember those discussions back in 2017, and I do want to thank you. And obviously you live in a very beautiful part of the state, and I think some of our focus back then was some folks in Las Vegas in particular live in the concrete jungle and not anywhere close to some of these places. So I appreciate those comments. And I think you're exactly right. The way we envision this is, first of all, the school board has to decide whether they're going to allow it. And this bill sets the parameters for things that would have to happen there. But I think if a school board or a charter school authority allows it, it would, I believe, be up to the individual school teacher, classroom to allow their students to do that. I mean, I would sort of see a couple different layers there. And I think, I believe there'd probably be some regulations or some additional policies from the school board, because you certainly want proof that they actually did something, right? You don't want students walking in and just saying, yeah, I did a backpack trip and I should get credit. So I envision that, that will sort of be layered in there. Part of what we were trying to do is not be too prescriptive about how this would work, because we realize it might look different in Clark County than it would look in Lyon County or Lincoln County. And so I think that's how I envision it, is that would really be a decision made at the district level and then would flow down to the classroom level, and has to be parental involvement as well. So I think there's hopefully some check there where we're not just going to be giving students credit for going outside and playing at recess.
So thank you for that. The next question, I think, and maybe it needs to be to the educators on this committee, is it the standard that this body, the state legislature, gives permission or mandates? I think it is policy that they require so many classes and so many things. Does that come through the State Board of Education, or do the individual school districts come up with what they want their students to allow? I mean, just wondering what the policy is. How often do we say you should be able to acknowledge outdoor recreation. Is there other programs that we have put into statute?
So, curriculum standards come through the Department of Education. However, you're right, there are shalls and musts and what have you, right? So and then there are district, and correct me if I'm wrong, sitting in the room, Mr. Keating, but they can be differentiated at a district level. So we could say we're going to have 120 minutes of reading, but the district could alter that a little bit in their regs. So.
And I will thank you, Madam Vice Chair. I'll add in that, yes, the number of credits requirement, that's the state, that's in the E.
And that's why one of my earlier questions, but it was answered in the bill, is that maximum credits they could get for this particular thing. They still have to have a minimum of certain core requirements. This would be additional, correct? Yes. So anyway, thank you for that clarification. Thank you, and thank you again.
Okay, thank you, Senator Titus. We'll go back to the Vice Chair for questions.
Thank you.
We have several. I'll make our way around.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair. And yes, just to follow up with the Senator, this would be more like an elective. So, however, Speaker Yeager, I am concerned about the maximum number of credits because a student like you might want your 22 and a half credits of running and hiking. And then, you'd have outdoor survival skills, but I'm not sure you'd have indoor survival skills that you need here in this building. So, we just got to work through this a little bit. One of my questions was the maximum amount of credits and if it was going to be an elective, if you will, or if it was just going to be something that you could accrue and add on to, I don't know, maybe a science credit if you identified plants and animals, right? It might be some extra credit, if you will, to a science class. If you were taking a biology class and you needed a little extra credit, maybe you would do it that way. So, I can see all kinds of creative solutions in here, but I also, as I mentioned, worry about the creative solution, Speaker Yeager, as a 16-year-old student. Now, I don't worry about the same about the majority leader sitting next to you. So I know she would do all of her work and she would show up to class and be responsible.
Thank you for the question, Vice Chair Dondero Loop. But Section 1, Subsection 1 does specify that it has to be an elective credit. And so they can't apply it to science credits or math credits. It has to be applied to elective credits. And I know there's only a certain amount of elective credits a student can earn.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Madam.
And there's also a maximum in Section 1, Sub 3A as well. That sets a maximum.
Perfect. That's good for that student. 16-year-old Speaker Yeager. All right. Thank you, Madam Chair. I think that's it for right now.
Thank you. And I'll just clarify, the standards are still the standards. You still have to have those, the math and science and reading and civics and all of that. This would just be an opportunity for because there's elective room there for elective. So this would just be an opportunity for that. Okay, we have more questions. We'll jump down to Senator Buck.
Thank you so much, Chair Taylor. I actually love the bill. I was a principal at CT Sewell in the concrete jungle, and so I saw that, kids didn't get out of their neighborhood. So worked closely with the Henderson Community Foundation, the Kasner Foundation, to take fourth grade students on out to Hoover Dam, out to the Valley of Fire, and out of their neighborhoods. So really, really like that idea with gardens and STEM to provide some context. Also, I was wondering if you had the chance to speak to the Honorable Mo Dennis, because I know he does a lot with the Scouts, and I see earning your Eagle Scout is done all outside of school, and I can see a nice tie-in with this, to provide the schools and school boards with some different ideas or a list of different ideas in which they can come up with their policy, because I do believe that a lot of times in these neighborhoods, these kids do not get out of their neighborhood or out of their school community. And so it does provide some opportunity for that. So on the Scouts BSA thing, I think it'd be a natural fit.
Thank you, Senator Buck. Steve Yeager for the record. And, you know, to your point, I just, there's nothing quite like seeing a student for the first time pull up to Valley Fire and see those red rocks, or that drive up to Lake Tahoe when you come around a bend and for the first time you see how majestic Lake Tahoe is. And I think that's what really this is about. I haven't spoken directly to Senator Dennis, but I know I've worked with him on Green Your Planet initiatives as well. So I think that's a good suggestion. And the way that I would envision this, by the way, is, you know, the Board of Trustees is going to determine that, so I would anticipate they would take public testimony, and so I'll talk to him, and I think any of those groups that are already doing outdoor, I think about Get Outdoors Nevada is really big in Southern Nevada. I think they'd be able to go to the district and talk about their programs and hopefully find a way to integrate that, because we're not trying to really create brand new things. We're trying to integrate what we already have in the state, whether it's the No Child Left Inside grant program, whether it's Scouts, whether it's Get Outdoors Nevada, or all the other amazing programs. So I really appreciate the suggestion, and I'll make sure that he is looped in on this as well.
Thank you so much, Senator Buck. We'll go to Senator Cruz Crawford, then we'll hit this side of the table.
Thank you, Chair. Good morning. I have to tell you, when I first saw this bill, I was a little freaked out. And then as I noticed it said electives, I was like, okay, that totally makes sense. I know some people do work experience for electives. This goes hand in hand, and being on natural resources and seeing all these great items or initiatives that we have, I think they'd go really nicely together. You said outside the school day, or is it during the school day? Because I didn't see it on the bill. And you and you also mentioned a maximum number of credits, but I couldn't find that on the bill unless I'm missing that.
Thank you for the question, Senator Cruz Crawford. What was the second part of your question?
You said a maximum amount of credits was in the bill, but I can't, I didn't see the number.
Oh, it doesn't set a maximum number. It allows them to set a maximum total number of credits that can be earned in section 1 sub 3A. It says maximum amount of total credits that a pupil may earn. So it gives that authority to the board.
Okay, and then because it is electives and 6 credits are what our high school diploma, I imagine it would be less than that. Okay, and I just wanted to say one thing on the record, kind of a plug. We did fund our outdoor recreation youth at $500,000, right? And you mentioned Oregon's. And we have about 500,000 students in the state of Nevada, so we pay about $1 per student, and Oregon funds theirs at $3.5 million. So they fund theirs at $6.30 per student. So not that we have money to do that, but I did want to say it takes a clear investment, and I'm excited to keep investing in our students. So thank you.
Yeah, Steve Yeager for the record. And so we do have Assembly Bill 108 this session that purports or proposes to increase the funding to $1 million. Obviously, you all know, you on the budget committees know that we're in a pretty tough situation right now, so we're not sure if we're going to be able to do that. But I think the need is there. We heard about how many. I mean, there were $1.2 million in requests, and that was for just one fiscal year. So really, 5 times the amount of funding just in requests came in for the state of Nevada. So, you know, it would be my hope that someday we can increase that. And by the way, if anyone's listening, this fund can accept grants and gifts as well. It doesn't have to be funded entirely by the state. So the need is there. And so if there are folks who are looking to make that happen, I believe we would gladly accept those funds and be able to help get more kids outside.
Thanks to you both, and we'll go down to Senator Rogich and then Senator Danyante.
Thank you for bringing the bill. I think it's terrific, and it incentivizes a lot of the children to return to school. I like that part. As someone who was a single mom for a lot of years, my daughter participated in after-school programs, a latchkey kid, and so would this program be connected with programs that are there for children after school when their parents are working?
Thank you for the question, Senator Rogich. I think it really depends on what the Board of Trustees of the school district does when designing the program. We talked about including various organizations who already do activities outside. outside of school hours, because that's one of the requirements, is that the activities be done outside of school hours. But so we're leaving it up to every single school district to design what the requirements look like, and that's where that would fit in, including programs like if they are doing, Safe Key or after school programs.
Thank you, Senator. Senator Danyati?
Thank you much, Chair, and thank you so much for the presentation. More of a comment, not really of a question. I took a few courses that were outdoors in college at UNLV. I did golf, and then I did a canoeing class down the Colorado River, and it was pretty amazing. So for that experience to be happening at the earlier levels, I think many of students would benefit. So I thank you for bringing this bill. I don't want to be nitpicky, but perhaps you might be open to my recommendation if you are open to an amendment on Section 1, Subsection 2 that breaks down the types of activities. One thing that I did not notice, which hopefully if you would be interested in, is stargazing or astronomy education. The reason why I say that is I had it was a grant donation when I was in elementary school to go to space camp. And I think that this is an opportunity to do STEM education early on at the elementary level. I know this bill is more guided towards later on in middle school and high school, but just something if you wanted to take advantage of our Dark Skies initiative and so forth, and perhaps you would be open to that. So that's more of a comment.
Thank you, Senator Danyati. Madam Vice Chair?
Thank you, and I'll just comment. I think I like the stargazing idea, but I think that's a different strand in the education world, just as it is. It may not be. I'd have to look at the benchmarks and all the guides that we have in the science education. I know that, and I think I've mentioned it in here before, I taught geology to second graders for years. So, and we took field trips to Spring Mountain Ranch. So the outdoor skills can be taught to younger kids, but some of those skills, if you're teaching a geology unit, they would be over in a different, the science area, where this might be its own little thing. So I don't know. We'd have to research that a little bit.
I'm sorry, Senator Titus?
It just says in here there's no limit.
Say it in the mic so we can get it on the record, please. Thank you.
So looking at, I think I think stargazing is probably not a bad idea. Certainly astronomy and some of those astrophysics classes are very important. But what I like about the bill, it says specifically that it's not excluding anything. It just lists a few ideas. And so I think it would be up to the school board if they wanted to include that and it didn't interfere with something else that they already had going on. So I like the open-ended wording, frankly, in the bill.
Thank you, Senator Titus. Anything else from the committee? Okay, thanks to you both. We'll invite you to sit back. And then go hiking, sure, absolutely. Stargaze, look at plants, all of that. And we will now open it up for testimony and support here in Carson City. And if there's anyone in Las Vegas, please come forward at this time as well. 2 minutes each, you know the routine. Thank you so much.
All right. Good morning, Madam Chair and members of Senate Education. My name is Nicole Flangas, Flangas, and I'm here today representing the Nevada Outdoor Business Coalition in support of AB 501. Our mission is to promote outdoor recreation in our great state, traditionally through business initiatives and partnerships, as well as through environmental conservation, but another pillar within our advocacy is outdoor education and recreation. Building secondary education curriculum that supports outdoor conservation and education efforts allows students to incorporate a passion for the Nevada landscape in a wonderful way to get hands-on experiences and contribute to class credit. We ambitiously hope that those same students continue on to support and even be part of the next generation of entrepreneurs within outdoor recreation, and we urge your support of AB 501. I also wanted to just comment from the school perspective as someone who took independent PE through Washoe County School District. That was a program where they set parameters. I went out and found an organization that did that, reported it back to the district, and then they were approved by the Board of Education. So it was a process that created parameters, went out to the community, and then got approval. And now that moved forward for other people within my school to do the same process. So it is kind of a partnership that flows from the top down and then back up. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Flangas.
Thank you, Madam Chair, members of the committee. My name is Tom Clark. I'm here on behalf of the Nevada Association of School Boards. And through the questioning of the sponsors, you've answered most of the questions that I think are really important. If you're a school district and you have a teacher or a principal come forward and say, I've got a group of students or one student who would really like to do this program, it's outdoors, it meets with this standard, can you approve it? And the district would seriously take a look at those and say yes or no if that meets that side of it. I think what's going to be very attractive to the school districts is to get those kids outside. We've heard about the mental health. We've heard about, the benefits of just getting, especially kids that are in urban settings, getting those kids outside. But the discovery that happens when you're outside leads to all of the STEM, as Senator Donyate brought up. It leads to the things that Senator Dondero-Lupe discussed. You may be working on a trail with the, Wilderness Nevada, but you also might be curious about the biology, the geography, the geology, all of the sciences that you will discover when you're out doing those activities could lead to a career path and other things that are related to those STEM sciences. So I think that from the Nevada Association of School Boards perspective, this opportunity for a lot of students to just not get outside, but to learn when they get there is a phenomenal opportunity. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Clark. Please go ahead.
Good morning, Chair Taylor, members of the committee. My name is Eduardo Martinez, here on behalf of the Charter School Association of Nevada. Just wanted to come out in support of AB 501. This bill offers an innovative opportunity for students, including those attending public charter schools, to earn elective credit through meaningful outdoor electives, and it recognizes the value of experiential learning and supports student engagement with nature and each other, and offers those schools the flexibility they need to enhance the student experiences without adding additional cost. So we want to thank the sponsor of the bill for making this thing happen, and we urge your support of AB 501. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Martinez. Please go ahead.
Good morning, Chair and members of the committee. For the record, my name is Christy Cabrera-Georgeson. I'm the Deputy Director of the Nevada Conservation League. Very excited to be in education today. I don't get to be here very often, but we are in strong support of AB 501. We think this is a great additional tool to some of the great programs the state has to increase outdoor recreation. NCL has been a longtime supporter of getting more and more kids outside, and the continued funding for the Nevada Outdoor Education and Recreation Grant Program continues to be one of our top priorities. We have had the privilege of following up with a lot of these organizations, grantees, teachers, and even students and hear about their experiences that they've had. We have heard study after study say, getting outside increases cognitive benefits, physical benefits, all of that. But we've really been able to hear from some of these students that said, we came back from these outdoor experiences and we felt rejuvenated, we felt ready to learn, it was easier to focus. And so we're really looking forward to this program moving forward and getting more kids outside in our state. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ms. Cabrera. Cabrera. I'm staying with your maiden name, Cabrera. Okay. Please go ahead, Mr. Keating.
Good morning. Brad Keating for the record, representing the Clark County School District. Happy to be here in support of Assembly Bill 501. Wanted to mention in 2017, my first session representing the Clark County School District, I had the privilege of supporting Assembly Bill 385, which was by Speaker Yeager to allow every fifth grader in the state the opportunity to visit state parks for free. It's been an incredible opportunity that the kiddos look forward to every single year, receiving those passes and having the opportunity to go out to the state parks. This bill furthers what we were able to do in 2017 and allows students the opportunity to keep getting outside, to learn the benefits and all of the incredible things the state has to offer. So for those reasons, we're happy to support AB 501. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Keating. Please go ahead.
Good morning, Madam Chair. Members of the committee, my name is Susan Kima, Executive Director for the Nevada Association of School Superintendents, and we are in support of AB 501. Thank you for working on this bill.
Thank you, Ms. Kima. Seeing no one else here in Carson City and no one present in Las Vegas, AVH will go to the phone line for support testimony.
Here, the public line is open and working, but we have no callers at this time.
Thank you so much. We'll stay right here with phone line. Anybody to testify in opposition?
Chair, we have had no callers join at this time.
Thank you so much. Seeing no one in Las Vegas, anyone here in Carson City in opposition? Okay, seeing none, we'll go to neutral testimony. Any neutral testimony here in Carson City or in Las Vegas? Seeing none, AVH, one more time on the phone lines.
Yes, ma'am. The public line is open and working, and there are no callers at this time.
Thank you so much. We'll ask our sponsors if you'd like to come up for any closing. Or that's it? Okay. Thank you so much, Mr. Speaker and Madam Majority Leader. We really appreciate having you. It was an honor. And thank you for bringing the bill. Okay, we're now down to the last item on our agenda, which is public comment. If you'd like to make public comment on anything not on the agenda, then please come forward at this time. You'll have 2 minutes here in Carson City or in Las Vegas. Not seeing anyone on the move, we will go to the phone lines. Anyone call in for public comment, AVH?
Chair, your public line's open and working, and we have no callers at this time.
Thank you so much. We appreciate your help, AVH. All right, committee, thank you so much for coming in at an early time. Call of the chair, but we have our business done. And have a great weekend. We are adjourned. We'll reconvene Monday at 1 p.m.